All right, welcome, guys. This is Breakfast with the Brand, the number one podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders who want to build industry leading brands. Today, I am your host, Junior Frederick, and I have with me, as usual, the man himself, Mr. Bobby Jackson. Before we dive in, we do want to send a quick shout out to Mr. Shaan Raiz, who is on the road and doing amazing things for the brand. Want to send him some love this morning, wherever he is around the world. Of course, guys, go ahead and put your flames in the chat and also let us know where you're listening in from. Bobby, how you doing?
Doing phenomenal. Doing phenomenal. I'm excited about the conversation that we're going to have today. Yesterday and the day before, we had questions. I think today I've got a conversation that I think we should have surrounding branding. So I'm super excited about that.
Definitely. And as usual, Bobby, before we really dive in, I do want to put this banner. I do want to plug this in right away, guys. The brand challenge is coming up next Monday. So that's Monday, the 8th of April. Listen, it's 100% free of charge. The only investment is your time. So like the number one way that you could show, not me, not Bobby, not Shaan, but yourself that you're serious is to show up for the brand challenge. People ask me all the time, Junior, what can I do? Where can I go? How can I get the information? Or sometimes I can't afford it. What should I do? Here's your opportunity, www.ultimatebrandchallenge.com. This is what you need to go to the next level when it comes to branding. We're going to give you the business media. We're going to give you remote teams. We're going to give you authenticity marketing, name, image, and likeness. And of course, the art and the science of leadership with delegation. So if you're serious, if you're open, if you're looking for new information, if you want to actually learn from people who've actually done it, if you're looking for somebody who's actually gone the road that you're looking to walk, then go right there, www.ultimatebrandchallenge.com. And Bobby, really quick before we get into it, people tell me all the time, Junior, I'm busy. I'm doing something with my family. I'm doing X, Y, and Z with my friends. Mm-hmm. This is friendly. This is friendly for families and for friends, for cousins, for everybody that you can possibly think of. Okay? So you definitely want to bring everybody in and let's make it an amazing event. Yes. So Bobby, talk to me, man. How's everything going with you this morning?
It's great. It's great. I did chess this morning, so it's always great to get back to the daily routine where you're up in the morning, meditate, do all the things that I do and then hit the gym. And I even had a call this morning. 6 a.m. calls are great. So it's been a phenomenal morning for me. How about yourself, Junior? How did your morning go?
My morning started off with chest as well. So I just happened to do chest and triceps this morning. So that's what I did. It was really good. Nowadays I'm trying to get more, like nutrients and stuff into my diet. So I'm doing like CMOS every day. For those of you who don't know what CMOS is, look it up. It has like 96 different nutrients and minerals. I think the body needs like 102. And then I'm also doing a little bit of moringa. Funny enough, it's right over there. It's right in my backyard. So I could walk over. I get it straight from the actual tree. I just pick it and I just eat it. It's like a lettuce. I just put it in my salad, eat it. So I'm trying to get more nutrients in. So that's how my morning has been, Bobby.
Nice. Well, as we get ready for the first break, I'll go ahead and introduce the topic that's on my mind. It's the brand edge. The brand edge. And I believe that a lot of people that are branding themselves or taking their brands to the next level, maybe you already have a brand, you're looking for ways to sharpen the edge, ways to cut through the noise like butter. And what I've noticed is that individuals that know how to sharpen the axe, how to sharpen the brand, how to create that brand edge are the individuals that stand out in the marketplace, because believe it or not, what I plan to talk about today with Junior, as he lays out many, many insights, as he always does, is the reality that all brands are not created equal. They're just not. And when we dive deep into all brands not being created equal, we can then say what makes a strong brand and what makes a brand that's flimsy or not so durable. What makes a brand that demands notoriety in the marketplace, and what causes a brand to get swept under the rug, forgotten about, or even commoditized. So those are some of the things that I'm looking to talk to Junior about. The brand edge, guys.
100%. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
In brand clarity, exactly what you're going to get is what it sounds like. Clarity for your brand. What is your color? What is your logo? What is your unique value proposition? Who are you speaking to? Why? How should you speak to them? How should I position myself? That's what you're going to learn in brand clarity. You need other people to have the same clarity on your brand that you do. But this is the gap. If you don't have clarity on your brand, then no one else is going to have clarity on your brand either. It's like messaging. Your message sounds clear to you, but is your end user receiving the value that you're trying to provide? I guarantee you that after you go through brand clarity, they will, and so will you. And that's how you'll scale your brand. When I think of brand you, I think of being your best self, your most authentic. The reason why we were able to crush business, absolutely dominate in business without having the marketing list, without having the email huge list, without having the Facebook ads and the advertising budget, without knowing the algorithm. The reason we were able to do this is because I branded myself. I told my authentic story and I was comfortable in my skin. Why? Because it was that time in the world where everything was shifting. It was 2020, March. So you remember what happened during that time. It was like the world was coming to an end. So you didn't have anything to hold back. So I chose to give everything that I had and be everything that I am. And because I was that, because I branded me, because I was authentic, everything shifted. And people wanted more. And they wanted to know more about me and how they could become more comfortable in their skin. Listen, guys, when you brand you and not what you do, you're going to add a zero to the world, but you'll also add a zero to your revenue. Let's grow.
All right, guys, so we are back. Going to be a very interesting conversation. I want to send a quick shout out to everybody viewing. I see Mr. Bradley Hoover. Bradley's in Texas. Mr. Joel Smith, the man, the myth, the legend. Mr. Joel Smith is in the building. Bobby, we have to get Joel back on very soon. Yes, we do. Let's see, Dr. Michelle. And I see, shout out to Dr. Michelle. She says, thrilling, thankful Thursday. Like, I have to say that so slow because she always has the craziest tongue twisters. And Tia says, great Thursday, everyone. Have a blessed week ahead. And Tia is tagging everyone, followers. Let's continue to grow together. All right, so let's get into it, Bobby. I know you said you have a conversation, so I'll let you sort of take the wheel and steer it.
No, I definitely want to talk a little bit about, can your brand take a day off? Like, no, I don't think the brand can take a day off. But I think when you do it right, you can take a day off because your brand will work while you're asleep. Your brand will work while you're out and about. And I think that's a part of the freedom piece that a lot of people want, but it's a part that we don't talk about as much. So I think really talking about how to build a business is one thing, but talking about how to build the brand that keeps attracting the leads or keeps attracting the prospects that you can serve is what actually enables you to walk away from that business and put it in the hands of capable lieutenants, so to speak, a sales force or a marketing team and things of that nature. So Junior, in your experience and in your process of developing a brand and being a part of the brand, how have you found, what would you say is most important about building a brand that allows you to take a day off while your brand is working around the clock?
I would say leadership and systems. So I would say leadership and systems. So you have to have systems, but you also have to have leadership. You have to have good leadership because, and what I mean by that is, I mean, you, the brand, have to be a good leader because if you're not a good leader, nobody wants to work for somebody who's not a good leader. So even if you have the systems, you need people to run the systems. So you have to be a phenomenal leader. And then you also have to have the right systems in place to be able to take a day off. If I believe if you have those two things, then you could successfully leave and do other stuff. And that's how we sort of hand that out. So
Yeah.
leadership is very important. And you know something too, Bobby, we've had the sales conversation. Um, at some point when you make it at some level in sales, you realize that sales is not enough. You need sales, but you also need leadership. You need sales and leadership in order to grow and in order to hit your goals. Because truth is, you could never get to your goals on your own. Like no man is an island, no woman is an island. You need people. You need people to help you, but you also need to be able to lead those people in the right direction. They need to have respect for you. They need to value. They need to look up to you. You need to be a mentor to them, and you need to help them as much as they're helping you. So I would say you need leadership and then you need systems.
Yeah. And I think this is an important conversation because as we're doing the breakfast with the brand every day, and those that are in the leadership leverage, like if you're on the inside, you know how much time we spend on the actual personal and professional development. And I think if you're going to be a great leader in your space, then a few things that you want to do is one, lead by example. So that's just a good question to ask yourself. Are you leading by example? And are you the type of leader that people want to work for? Because that's really important to the brand. And once you've got that question asked, I think another really good question is, are you evolving as a leader? Because nobody wants to be stagnant, I don't think either, Junior. Like, I don't think people want to just be working with a leader that's good, but not growing. He or she has to be a good leader and they've got to be steadily going somewhere because people don't want to feel stagnant. So as we looked at one of the commercials coming into this, we were talking about brand clarity. So one of the things I know you spend quite a bit of time with is helping people achieve brand clarity in their website development process. So one thing that I'd like you to share with the audience today is what's something that they can do to start getting some more brand clarity and better positioning themselves when they don't have the website, when they don't have the clientele that say pouring in and giving them all these testimonials, because some people are there. They've got the systems, they've got the data, they've got the SEO. But some people aren't there. They have the expertise, the education, and the experience, but they don't have the business systems just yet. They're making the leap. They're making the transition. So how can they go about getting some brand clarity along the way?
So brand clarity means clarity about your brand. We've always said that a brand is an expression of who you are at your core, expressed in the form of a business. So to me, what that really means is there has to be a process of introspection. And for the people who have gone through branded like a leader, in the part where Shaan teaches about the brand story, the origin brand story, there is a process there of introspection that you have to start with. You have to go back and look at your life and ask yourself, um, what sort of events occurred between ages, I think 0 and 7. He moves in stages of 7. So 0 to 7, I think 7 to 14, then 14 to like 21, 21 to 28, on and on and on until you arrive to the age where you are right now. So looking back helps you to connect the dots for you being able to move forward. So I would say the number one thing somebody can do to get brand clarity today is to start the process of introspection, to start looking back at the different events that occurred over their lives to find clarity about the desires that they feel within them moving forward for the future. That's what I would do.
That's deep. It's deep because it requires us to be people, right? It requires you to be human. And I think a lot of times we can separate the humanistic aspect of business from the actual mechanics of business. So the mechanics of business says I need partnerships, I need resources, I need a value proposition, customer segment, channels, and all that stuff. Like those are the mechanics, revenue, cost structure. But the actual business, the life of the business, the brand of the business, and if you are the brand, which you are, then there's a component of business development that has to do with, like Junior said, introspection. And I don't think a lot of us do that enough because it's scary. You know, if we can be honest, like who really wants to know who they really are? I don't think many of us do. Like most of us, I think, have images of who we want to be, and we have these disconnects. You know what they say? They'll like, you'll see yourself one way, but if you ask 5 people that's watched you who you are, they'll tell you something completely different. And that's normally because we don't see ourselves objectively. So I think what Junior is talking about is so deep because it requires us to be human, and it requires us to accept our flaws and to grow through them. So my next question for Junior actually has to do with taking the pain and making it pay you. So we know that in the origin brand story, we're told to go deep. We're told to go and find those traumatic experiences that have shaken us and shaped us. So when you went through that process, Junior, yourself, and you were going through the shaping and the painful. I've heard you talk about your dad, like reading a book with a candle in the jungle. Like, what was that experience like for you as you were really finding out who Junior Frederick is, and how did that shape your brand?
Oh man. So Bobby, when Bobby says it, man, it comes out a certain kind of way. So yes, but that, by the way, that story is true, by the way. But to answer your question, Bobby, I would say the number one thing that I learned is that you don't find freedom, or don't try to find freedom from pain, but find freedom through pain. So find freedom through it. Like go, like I think there's a saying that goes like, when you're going through hell, just keep going. And for me, um, there have definitely been those moments, and I think everybody has had those moments. Like every single person, if you're a regular person, everyday life, and you just like everybody else, like we've all been through those scenarios. So I think what I learned is that the like looking back allows you to predict the future. Like it goes back to introspection. Looking back allows you to predict the future and create the future, and looking back allows you to recruit. I'm using the word recruit because we're talking about leadership here to a certain extent. So it allows you to recruit your vision, recruit your mission, and recruit your brand, which is basically your vision. Your brand starts as your vision. So if you're looking for clarity, you have to be able to recruit the same way you recruit a team member. You have to be able to recruit your vision. So you have to search for your vision. You have to go out and look for it. You have to go out and recruit it. You have to go out and try different things. You have to go out and not even out, but rather in, right? So you recruit by going in. You go inwards to find that mission, to find that vision, to find the way that you would like to impact the world, and then that creates the sort of platform or the foundation for you to move forward. I can remember doing one class inside the academy one day, and somebody asked me the same question, and I told them, I put it to them like this: like everybody knows what a track is, like a racetrack, right? Everybody knows if you know what a racetrack is. Put a number one in the comments. Everybody knows what a racetrack is. And you know on a racetrack, how sprinters often start out at the starting line. Now, check this out. The reality is, most of us do not start at the starting line. For some of us who are not blessed, who are not lucky, who are not, you know, overly fortunate, We don't start at the starting line, especially when it comes to building a brand. You starting at the starting line when it comes to building your brand is you having 100% clarity, and you knowing exactly what you want to do, and you knowing all of your offers, and you knowing all of your programs, and you knowing, you having all of that stuff. You knowing everything that you need to do. Most of us, we start behind the line,
Mm-hmm.
and some of us further than others. So everybody's process is different. Your goal is to gain the clarity so you could begin the race on the starting line.
Wow.
That's what you need to do. So it's like people tell me, well, and Sean has this phenomenal thing that he says. People will often say, when is the ROI? When is the ROI, right? When is the return on investment? The ROI is at the SOI, the speed of implementation. And your speed might be different from Dr. Michelle's speed, and Dr. Michelle's speed might be different from Joel's speed because she's lived a different life. She's had different experiences. She's a different person, right? And everybody is. So for you, you need to work with what you have and where you at and try to figure out how can I make it to the starting line? How can I have clarity? How can I know my offers? How can I know my ideal client? How can I know my messaging? Like once you figure this stuff out, the money doesn't just start to come in. Now you're ready to run. Now you just put on your gear and you walking up to the line and now you're ready to go. But
Right.
before that, you're not ready to go. You're not ready to go. So being able to go through that process of introspection. And if I had to draw it out, Bobby, it would literally start. I would have one line, which is the starting line. I would
Mm-hmm.
have somebody all the way back here, and you're working through a maze, like some kind of maze-like process, going through different twists and turns,
Right.
and you think this person is your client, this person is not your client, and then you think that is your messaging. Hold on, that is not your messaging. Then you think you want to do this. Hold on, I don't want to do that. I want to do this instead. And then you're going through this maze, and finally you come to this starting line where you have clarity. You say, you know what, I want to do this. I'm talking to this person. This is my messaging. This is what my brand is about. This is what I stand for. This is what I stand against. And then you're ready to begin.
I love this conversation because it makes me think about one of my objection handling techniques. So, what Junior just pretty much said was that you're not going to know what you don't know. Like, you're not going to start with all the answers. So, you're going to have to fumble your way through. And a lot of times, a prospect will be on the call and they'll be ready to do business and they'll be super excited, but they'll say to you, I worked with this guy and it didn't work. I worked with that guy and it didn't work. I worked with this guy and it didn't work. And one of the best objection handling techniques that I have for that particular situation is, are you married? And the person will say, yes. And if they are not married to their high school sweetheart, this normally works wonders. So I say, are you married to your high school sweetheart or to your first boyfriend? And they'll say, no. What about your second? She'll say, no. What about your 18th? Well, I don't know, but you eventually found love. Would you agree? She's like, yeah, I agree. I eventually found love. And I'll say, well, it wasn't the first one. It wasn't the second. It wasn't the 10th. But eventually you figured out what you like and what you don't like, right? And they would say, yes, you're correct. And I said, that's exactly what it's like as you're building your business. You're going to engage with phenomenal people and you're going to have amazing experiences and you might experience some heartbreak. But at the end of the day, if you keep searching for love and you keep taking and rolling the dice with your heart, so to speak, and you're genuinely passionate and serious about finding a soulmate, so to speak, then you very well can get married and stay married to the person of your dreams. And that's exactly what your business can be like, is you went through the phases, you went through the processes, and you married the vision that's going to take you the rest of the way. And I think that's a part of it, that's a part of it. And when you do this right, at least in my experience, is it should be fun. It should be an adventure. Like I remember when I was like low, like in my business space, like I didn't have the money for gas, guys. Like I had invested everything and I was working really, really hard and I left my job and I didn't know where the next check was going to come from. And I was driving across town to get a job, like selling roofs, literally selling roofs. Like I was that low as an entrepreneur. And it was an adventure because I'm on the other side of town. I have no idea how I'm going to get back home and I have no cash. And I'm like, well, how am I going to figure this out? And I ended up getting on the calls and just getting on the phones and figuring out how to close a deal. while I was on the other side of town. Long story short, it all worked out. I got back to the other side of town. I got the cash. I got everything worked out, and I don't sell roofs to this day. All right. So what that really means, I think, is that if you dedicate yourself to the process of branding yourself, and you're not afraid to go deep enough, a lot of people call it a rebranding. I call it a deeper dig. Like, I don't think anybody really rebrands. I think people just get closer to the truth, because you are who you are before you know who you are. So it's not like you're rebranding yourself. It's more like you're finding out who you really were all this time. So the next question that I have for Junior to preface the break would be, when we make bold statements, that's usually what a brand can stand on. It can stand on a very bold statement. But in today's society and our cancel culture, a lot of people are afraid to say what they really feel. They're afraid to say what they really think. What has your experience been like helping people build up the courage to say what they really want to say? Because if they're bold enough to say it, they might actually have a brand they can stand on.
So that's a very interesting question. I think especially in today's age, free speech is something. Free speech is a huge conversation, like right now as we speak, especially on social media. It is a really, really huge thing. But I tell people, you have to stand for something, and then you have to stand against something. You have to know what you stand for, what you stand against. You can't be like lukewarm. Like, you have to know, this is the side I'm on. Or maybe you're the kind of brand that doesn't pick a side. Like, wherever you are, like, just let people know. And there's nothing wrong in, if you make a mistake, saying, hey, I made a mistake. A lot of people have been wrong in the past. Almost everybody has been wrong about something. And I think people respect it when you could come and say, well, guys, I said this and da 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 da. I think I made a mistake. This is what's actually going on. I was misled, or there's nothing wrong with that. There's humility in that, and I think people could resonate with that. But for you to influence anybody, you have to make a stand. You have to let people know where you stand. And like in fact, I just told somebody this yesterday. If you try to be all things to everybody, you end up being nothing to nobody, or nothing to anybody at all. Okay, so you have to make a stand. That's just what it is. In everything in life, you have to make a stand. Like, you have to know what side you're on. Yeah.
I agree, man. I think that could take us to the break, Junior. I got more for you guys when we get back, but if y'all are enjoying the conversation, put some flames in the chat.
Definitely. We'll be right back, guys.
From Harriet Tubman to Sojourner Truth to Rosa Parks, we have always been on a freedom run. Your LLC, your S Corp, C Corp, your business entity is what's going to give you the ability to go from your job, your industry wages, your 9 to 5, to the life of your dreams and the dream of your life. This is about you attaining all of the things that you could only possibly imagine and that our ancestors saw as not even being possible. Your freedom run? This is your freedom run. This is your moment. We're going to show you how to establish yourself as a business entity so you can go and come as you choose. There was a time when we needed permission slips to go from plantation to plantation. When you get a little bit older, you need permission slips to go from class to class. And when you get a little bit older, you get a vacation for 2 weeks, and then you have to come back after 2 weeks to your job, right? That's what they call it now, the 9 to 5, the gig. You might you work for 50 weeks and you get 2 off. The freedom run is when you establish your LLC and you're free for the rest of your life. Confidence is key. Most of the people I work with, they have the education, the experience, and the expertise. We call those the 3 E's. But they're looking for the 3 I's, the income, the impact, and the independence. And I always tell them that the bridge between the 3 E's and the 3 I's is marrying your confidence to your competence. Most of the people I work with, again, have all of the competence in the world. What I help them do is get the confidence.
Man. So I just want to bring this back to the branding piece, just so you all know this is Breakfast with the Brand. We do help people build their businesses. So we've been talking a little bit about the human side of things, but to bring it back to the business, to bring it back to the brand edge, I wrote something down. And Junior is going to talk to this, I know, in some great detail because he's talked about it before. He calls it marketplace protection. But what I wrote down was, until you tell your brand story, your business will have to worry. And what I mean by that is that until you really get out there with your story, like you are the brand, it's your unique story, your life. Like until you do that, you're constantly worrying about if the next person's going to take your tagline, or if the next person's going to take your customers, or if the next person's going to infringe on the niche that you've been carving out for yourself. But the moment you start telling your story, the story that no one else can replicate, the story that no one else can fabricate, and the story that if someone tried to fabricate, they would look silly saying it. Like when you do that, you create what Junior often talks about as marketplace protection. So as I turn it over to Junior, I want to give him a bit of a question too to elaborate on. But Junior, as you've seen brands come and go, because I'm sure you've seen some people come into business, get riled up and fall off. Like I'm certain that you've seen this. How important was it for that individual to who had built the brand? Actually, let me preface this a little bit more so it's very clear for the audience. So guys, you can get into business, you can get momentum, you can get traction and still fall off. Like most businesses don't fail the first year. They don't fail the first 3 years. They fail around year 5, year 6. So when we talk about marketplace protection and we talk about building a legacy and we talk about longevity in the marketplace, the brand edge is essential. So what we're about to be talking about now is the marketplace protection piece, which is essential because sometimes we can be short-sighted as entrepreneurs. We can think that we're going to make our $1 million next year. And you might, but you very well might not. And if you don't, how many more years is it going to take for you to get there? And the goal of a brand is to have the marketplace protection to buy you the time you need to reach critical mass. So now I'll ask that question to Junior. So Junior, from you seeing people come and go, their brands go up, their brands go down, how important is it for someone to have a brand and grow and establish that brand over time to really increase their chances of long-term success?
Bobby, so in this new age, this new era, okay? In this new era, and when I say new era, I mean virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, especially artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
In this new era of robotics, of people being replaced by machines, by tasks, tasks that could have been done by certain people now could be done basically for free. And I was having this conversation inside the leverage the other day where I was saying that it seems as if the cost of doing business is, when I say doing business, I mean like, building websites, stuff like that. It's quickly dropping to zero. There was one particular person inside the leverage, and he knows himself. I was able to help him with, I think it was a prompt from ChatGPT. So I built a custom prompt inside ChatGPT, and I gave away the prompt on the leverage. I just gave it away. In fact, I created a prompt ChatGPT that could generate any prompt. And I think at that time, we did a copywriting prompt, and he was able to type in a few words, and he was able to produce very good copy that he could take and use for social media or for something else, whatever he decides. How much time had he spent learning to do copy up until that point? I don't know, but I think it would not have been 7 years, 10 years, maybe not even 1 year, maybe not even 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
But he was still able to achieve the results, the same results as somebody who might have been doing copy for like 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
How much did it cost him? Almost nothing. Only the cost of the software. What would it have costed him to have a copywriter do it? It might have been a couple $100 to have a copywriter do it. So, and this is just one space. We're seeing it in the coaching space. We're seeing it in the copywriting. We're seeing it in the marketing space. We're seeing it with many other industries. So the cost of doing business is slowly dropping to nothing. So why am I talking about this? The reason I'm talking about this is because moving forward into the future, I mean, maybe just 5 years, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, definitely 20 years from now, one of the only things that would be able to distinguish you from me, from Dr. Michelle, from Bradley, from everybody else that is viewing is a brand. Literally. Literally. So okay, so in other words, if you go online and you say, I'm an accountant, I guarantee you in a few years, they're going to have some kind of AI software that could just do the accounts and they won't need you anymore. If you say, I'm a coach and that's all you do, I'm a coach, Tony Robbins has already released some kind of AI software that coaches on his behalf. If you say, I'm a this or I'm a that, it doesn't matter what you say. Something's going to come along, most likely artificial intelligence, and that job will slowly be taken away. So, what is the determining factor, or what is the only distinguishing factor between you and the next man or woman? And I firmly believe that that is a brand. Brand is one of the few remaining assets, I believe, in the future. That's what I believe. So when you ask me how important a brand is, a brand right now is everything. Literally, it is everything. If you, it's going to be people that have brands and people that don't have brands. That's it. And guess what? The people that have the brands will be at the top. People that don't have a brand, they'll not be at the top. I guarantee that's just how it is. It's the natural evolution. Because why would I pay you to do something that I could just make the AI do? And the AI doesn't charge me. The AI doesn't have to eat, doesn't have to sleep. You know what I mean? Unless you have a reputable name and you're known for something, specifically, then I'll come to you. Like if I'm looking for strategic leadership, I'm going to Joel Smith. But if I didn't know Joel, I might just go to ChatGPT. Then I wouldn't go online. Okay, strategic coach. No, I just ask ChatGPT a question. But if I need more specific assistance, then I'm going to the most recognizable and reputable face in that industry. And that is what a brand is.
Wow. Not to take this too deep at all, but it's like what it means to be human, I think, evolves every so many years, maybe so many centuries. Back in the day, what it meant to be human might have been to be able to read a book. Like if you can read and you can elevate your mind, like maybe 1,000 years ago, that made you creme de la creme, And today, it's like, what does it mean to be human is changing a lot. What does it mean to be an earthling? Where like we can go to Mars. Like literally, people are charting ships to take you to Mars. And you technically be, say, a Martian. You could have Martian citizenship. So I laugh as I think about this because it's very true and it's very possible. But it makes me think about why we do what we do as individuals. Like everybody that I talk to wants to make an impact. They have a purpose and they want to expand that. And when you think about your brand and you think about what the world is coming to, how it's evolving, I think a brand also is the only way you'll still be able to take credit for who you are. Like we're getting to a point where like the AI could write a book. Who gets credit for that? Everybody that ever put anything on the internet. Like the AI can coach you. Like Junior just said, who gets credit for the coaching? Well, the algorithm did it. So I think one of the parts of being human is doing something with your time that you feel is worthwhile. And if you don't have a brand, it's almost like everything you do in a world of technology and replication and imitation, it's almost like your efforts become moot. They become nothing. It's just like Anybody else could have done it just better than you did it. But when you have a brand and you have a story and you accept you for you and you put your fingerprint of life on everything that you do, I think that's one way to preserve your humanity. And that to me is important. But I digress. Don't plan to go any deeper than that. I just want you to think about the world that you have an opportunity to shape and what your brand's role has to do in that. So, next question that I've got for Junior is, as things are continuing to evolve and as we continue to take leaps and bounds into the technological age, how do you see brands helping business owners generate wealth? And that's a bit of a broad question. So, to narrow it down a little bit more, you work as a direct marketing consultant and you are helping people drive leads, and you're also helping people generate traffic. You're also moving people through sales pipelines. You do all of this stuff. How difficult would that be for you to do if the individual didn't have a brand?
Hmm. Extremely difficult. It's a lot easier because now you're getting into more what we call a personal media platform or a brand. I think Shaan refers to it as a brand ecosystem. The stronger your ecosystem is, the more people come pretty close. So most people, like when you go to an influencer, it's more like walking into a store, and like if you walk into, let's say, a Walmart or something, like nobody has to convince you to buy stuff at Walmart, do they? You just walk. Maybe you need a little help. You talk to somebody in the aisle. Hey, where can I find this? Where can I find that? And they just point you in the direction. So the stronger your brand ecosystem is, the more I feel like the sales become like sort of like that, where they're coming in already closed, where they know who the person is, they know that their stuff is good, they've already made a decision. They just need help on what is the right product um, that's going to work for them. So I mean, it's everything.
Wow. I hope you guys got that. That was a freebie. Like, do not try to build a business without a brand, because there will come a time where, and I don't want to say do not, that sounds more like a directive. I would not recommend you try to build a business without a brand, because when it comes time for you to bring on people like Junior or people like myself or people like the brand, like let's say you wanted to have that one-on-one talk with Shaan Rais and you're just like, you're ready. Like, with if you don't have a brand, then what are you bringing to the table to a degree? Now, sure, can someone help you? Yes, that's why we're here. Breakfast with the Brand is to help you do just that. But the goal here is, as we give the free value, know that it's not free. Like if you take what we're talking about and you leverage it properly, I think if you get results much like my results, it'll be one of the best decisions you've made. And I know we're ready for a break here, but before we go to that break, I wanted to just ask Junior a quick question. When you didn't have a brand and you were still working the HVAC systems and you were like, I don't think I want to do this, but you didn't fully know what you wanted to do, where did you start? Like, did you just say copywriting? That's it. That's what I'm doing. Or how did that happen for you?
Well, interesting, Bobby. I started. I never started off by saying I wanted to build a brand. That's not how I started off. When I started off, man, I just wanted a better life. To be honest, I wanted a better life. I wanted to make more money. I wanted to be able to do more things. And I said to myself, well, I know I don't want to do this. So check this out. A lot of people have trouble deciding what they want. I found it to be very effective to decide what you don't want. So you may not know what you want, but if you know what you don't want, then you know what you're not going to do. So I told myself I definitely was not going to, work tirelessly for the rest of my life. I definitely was not going to not build my own business, and just spend my days doing some tasks that some robot might be able to do, in the future. I definitely was not going to remain the same and not learn new skills. I definitely was not going to try something new and try to evolve and learn business. At the time, I wasn't even really thinking about sales, but funny enough, in that particular space in time,
Mhm.
I started learning copy. So I started learning copy. I said to myself, and this is literally the story. This is literally the story. One day, I it was a Saturday. It was a Saturday afternoon, right?
Mhm.
And I had just finished fixing a refrigerator, and I went to the ATM. So I pull over to the bank on the side of the road. I stopped on the side of the road. I went over inside the bank, and I was trying to withdraw, some money and stuff. And then the machine sent me like this little paper. I'm like, what's this? What's this little paper? So I look at the paper, and then I check my account, and I didn't have enough money in my account to withdraw from the ATM. I said, yo, I was mad as hell, bro. And I said to myself, you know what? I went back to the vehicle. And Bobby, I kid you not, this is a real story.
Yeah.
The vehicle that I had at the time was so bad. It was, I promise you, if you think your vehicle, if you have a terrible vehicle right now and you think it's bad, I promise you, I had a vehicle that was a lot worse. It was so bad. This was like a work vehicle and stuff. It was so bad, Bobby, that at that time I remember being so angry with myself, and I put my head down on the steering wheel. And you know what really like made me more angry, bro? Is when I looked down, yo, there was a hole at the bottom of the vehicle, and I could see the road from the bottom of the vehicle. I kid you not. That day, I drove home, and I said to myself, this will never, ever, ever happen to me again. That's what I said, number one. So if you're doing your origin brand story, everybody has that moment where things sort of flip. So that was my sort of flip moment. So I said to myself, okay, when I got home, no joke, I pull out a blank sheet of paper, and I said to myself, I need to do something. I don't know what I need to do. But I said, let me see what I can do. Okay. So in the absence of resources, you have to be resourceful. People tell me all the time, I don't have the money. I promise you, whatever money you have right now, I started with less money. I promise you that. I pull out a blank sheet of paper and a pen. Those are my resources. Okay. Blank sheet of paper, pen. I pull out my blank sheet of paper, I pull out my pen. I started writing down, okay, what can I do? Now I said, why don't I try doing marketing? At the time, Facebook ads just came out. That was like 10 years ago or something like that. Facebook ads just came out. People were just starting to talk about Facebook ads. I said, okay, well, let me try to do Facebook ads. What do I need to do what do I need to know to do a successful ad? So I started writing it down. I wrote down images or like photos, or that's how I call it. I wrote down videos, and I wrote down writing. I wrote down, I think, writing or something like that. So I said photos. I'm no good at photos, no good at graphic design. I crossed that off. Said videos. I tried to do video editing. I sucked at video editing. I crossed that off. And I saw writing. I said, okay, I've always been a good writer. At the time, a couple years prior, I actually won like a national award in my country for story writing. So I knew I was a good writer. So I said, okay. So I went on to like Google. I said, okay, how to write a Facebook ad. This is literally what I type in. How to write a Facebook ad. And then I saw something came up. It said copywriting. I said copywriting. I said, no, no, I'm not trying to like make books. I said, so I started reading, and it said that you could make money online by writing. I said, what? I said, is this a scam? I
Yeah.
said, you mean you mean I can write stuff on the internet and I can make money from it? I said, this cannot be real. I started reading more, and then I discovered that it was real, and then I just tried it out. And at that moment, I could remember now, at that time, Bobby, I had like maybe like $47 in my bank account at that time. I saw an ad come up, Facebook ad again. It said, join this mastermind for $7 a month. I joined the mastermind. I got in. I said, okay, I'm here now. What do I do next?
Yeah.
I said, okay, so let me try and do this copywriting thing. I went back onto the sales page. At the time, I didn't know it was a sales page. It looked like a website. This is me brand new. I don't know what a sales page is. I don't know what copywriting is. I don't know what none of that is. And I said to myself, okay, Well, let me, just for kicks, let me just try to do a version of the sales page. Now, the person's mastermind that I came into was a very famous influencer at the time. So I redid the sales page in my own version and I said, okay, I'm done. What do I do next? I said, okay, well, I know I can't do nothing. So I took the page, the whole thing was like 8 pages long. And I just posted the whole thing in the Facebook group. Just posted the whole thing. And I tagged the influencer. I said, what do you think? I posted it, I tagged him, and I just walked away. And I remember I was washing dishes actually. I was doing some dishes, and then I got a little ping on my phone, and it said, such and such has responded to your post. I said, what? I said, this has to be like a error or something. So I didn't take it too seriously. Then, like 5 minutes later, it said, I got a message from the influencer. So I said, okay. So I dried off my hands. I unlocked my phone and I read it. It said, now check this out, Bobby. Prior to that, and guys, check this out. Prior to that, I had messaged every single influencer I could find. And I said to them, hey, let me do this X, Y, and Z for you. I'm just starting off. You don't have to pay me. I just need you to let me know if it's good. I kid you not. I messaged every single person you can think of. Nobody responded to me, not one person. They responded to me on that day. And they said, hey, Junior, sorry it took me so long to respond. I think your work is great. Can you help me out with some Instagram posts? Okay. So now, now I'm like, okay, of course I can help you out, right? So
Right.
at that time, I didn't really know what Instagram was, but I said, yeah, of course I can do that. So you know what I did? I learned what Instagram was. I learned what an Instagram post was. I learned the structure the same day, and I started writing Instagram posts the same day, and I was good at it. I helped the influencer go from, I think at the time he had maybe like just under 200,000 followers. This is when Instagram just started. And then we were able to grow the account to almost 700,000 followers from about 200,000, almost 700,000. And around that time, COVID was just sort of looming.
Mm.
When COVID happened, they shut off everybody. So they closed off all remote teams and stuff like that. So I got caught up in that. So now I'm no longer working with them. And now I'm sort of doing my own thing. Right. And
Yeah.
that's when somewhere in that process I met Shaan. So people always ask me like, how did you meet Shaan? So that's how I met Shaan. I was doing marketing, doing this, doing that. And what's interesting, Bobby, so people tell me, how do you get clients? After I did that post, I went back to the same group and I said, hey guys, I'm doing 10 free um, websites.
Mm-hmm.
Who's interested? Who's interested? Bro, I started working with people. The first person I worked with, she was from Switzerland. Then I worked with some guy in France. Then I worked with some guy in California. Then in Africa. Then in Canada. Then in Texas. I worked with people from all around the world just from that little post. And then eventually they became clients. And the one from Sweden gave me my first ever testimonial, which is I still saved it somewhere in YouTube. I have it to this day. And that's how I got started, man. So
Wow.
that's how I got started. I don't even remember. I hope I answered your question. I'm not sure if I did, but you sort of took me down that road, man.
Yeah, yeah. I think you did more than answer the question because it was exactly what I feel like the people needed to hear and see because you took us on a journey, and I think what's interesting about it is it was a series of wins, right? And the wins got bigger. So I think that that's really important because no matter where you are, like as you're listening to us and we're getting ready to close this thing out for the morning, just think about the wins that you've gotten so far and how you got those, and just keep replicating that and believing that you can win bigger. Because one thing that stuck out to me about your whole story, Junior, is you went from head on the steering wheel, Flintstone style, like you could see the bottom of your car,
You
like
know,
Fred Flintstone style, to being in one of the most influential positions that you can be in as a direct marketing consultant for one of the biggest brands in the branding space. And it all began with an ATM receipt. So I say that to say, humble beginnings, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I was homeless when I got started on the couch, and that led me to the military, which led me to a business, which in music, which led me to another. Boom, 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 boom. So everybody, I think, has their origin story. You just got to be willing to go deep enough and humble enough to share that stuff with people so they can tell you what really connects. But with that being said, Junior, I have nothing else. Do you have anything?
Man, I have so many stories that I've never really shared. But when it comes to closing deals, I was telling somebody the other day, well, in fact, yesterday, like we talk about sales, just keep practicing, just keep going. And the number one thing you could take from me, if anything, is to never, ever, ever give up. Because I'm telling you, guys, I don't take like no excuses. I've closed deals in the middle of hurricanes with no power. I've closed deals in with hurricanes. I've closed deals while I'm on scaffolding, 3, 4 story building. I'm on a scaffolding. I'm installing air conditioning in one hand. I'm on the phone with another hand. I'm trying to close a deal. I kid you not. There's so many stories, Bobby. But yeah, just never give up. Never give up. Always press through. And in the absence of resources, you have to be resourceful. I guarantee you. And once you can do that, like you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Just never give up. Just keep going. And yeah, you never like your circumstances could change today. It could change today. You like one person away, you're one close away, you're one phone call away, you're one influencer away, you like one decision, one vision, one mission away, one brand away from doing exactly what you want to do. So that's what I would leave with the audience, guys. Just remember you're like one away. It takes a long time to find that one, right? But once you do and once you find it, like your life changes forever. So just keep going, tap into your story, and never forget where you come from, why you started, because that's going to give you the strength you need to keep going.
Yeah. Wow. I have nothing else, Junior. Like, this is your breakfast with the brand. Phenomenal morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. All right, guys. So we'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. as usual. Most likely we're gonna have a guest, but we'll see. Okay, so thank you so much for being here with us today. Don't forget www.ultimatebrandchallenge.com, and also please share with a few of your people from your network. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate you being with us. Have a phenomenal day, and let's grow. Thank you.